Hello, thank you for joining me for a new episode of 365 Days of Public Speaking. My name is Lionel Yamentu. Today we're going to learn how to evaluate any speech or presentation. Now, when you listen to someone speak or when you watch someone speak and you asking yourself the question, how can I give feedback to this person? Or what are the criteria that I must use to evaluate this person's speech? Because remember, it's about the speech, not about the person. Now, there are three ways to go about it, or three aspects of the speech or presentation that you must look at in order to give feedback or evaluations that's going to help. The first aspect is the content. What content did the person talk about, and does the content justifies the act of speaking? Because every time someone opens his mouth for a presentation or a speech, you need to look at, okay, is it justified based on the content that he brought forth? That's a very important question. That is why one of the rules says when you learn about public speaking, a lot of people say speak only about what you know, meaning you must have enough content and valuable content that has some value for the people who are going to listen to you. So if someone is speaking for, let's say, 40 minutes or 20 minutes, did the content actually have value for the audience? So the content, does it justify the act of speaking? Then you also have to look at the fact that the listeners should feel that the listeners should feel that the speaker made a contribution to their thinking. Because if any speech at all that you listen to must drive you to thinking in a different way, or looking at things in a different way, or driving you to some change of some sort, if not a change, or at least emotional stage at that point that you listen, which is why we have some speeches that are meant only to entertain, and that's okay, but there must be some change in something once you've listened to a speech, or once you've watched someone speak, and that's all part of the content aspect of the speech. Of course, I've always tell myself, okay, for every speech that I give, I have to have the one idea. What is the one idea, the big idea? And every speech should have that. Now, the big idea might be different things to different people, but in terms of content, when you evaluate someone, if you're unable to identify what the one idea was, because sometimes there might be many, but for you, what was the one idea? And that relates to everything else that I've mentioned so far as the content is concerned. Now, the second aspect when it comes to evaluating any speech or presentation is the delivery. Now, it's not enough to have good quality content, valuable content, but you also have to be able to deliver it in a way that transmits that information very effectively. Now, the delivery is a responsibility for effective communication. It's a huge responsibility of effective communication. Presentation of that speech or that project is critical. How you go about it. Now, your appearance is part of your delivery. I have other videos where I talk about appearance and how to dress to reinforce the impact of your message. But all of those, your body language, that's huge. That's critical. Now, what happens if you speak and you don't have enough room for body language? Well, your voice is part of your body language. Your facial expressions is part of your body language. Jumping up and down, even without the use of your arms, is part of body language. If you're in a wheelchair, spinning your wheelchair around is part of body language. All of those could be tools that would be used to make a point. The way you dress is a huge part of body language. And you have to remember that in terms of delivery when you evaluate someone on the delivery. Now, let's talk about overall effectiveness, which is the third aspect of an evaluation. When we talk about overall effectiveness, it goes down to the question, how did the audience receive the presentation or the speech? If you go to the news and look at, for example, a speech, nothing political about this, but a speech that Michelle Obama delivered at the convention of a party, when you look at a speech like that, then you can see that it had an impact on the audience, which is what the overall effectiveness is, the overall impact on the audience. You should ask questions like, was I able to determine the speaker's purpose? That's effectiveness. Did the speech relate directly to that purpose? Once you have that purpose, you can ask, was the audience interest held by the speaker? Or were there some times where the audience's mind was somewhere else because the speaker wasn't effective in communicating what he or she was trying to communicate? Was the subject appropriate to that type of audience? All of those are aspects that relate to overall effectiveness, and you have to make sure that you kind of look out for those. That way you can provide valuable feedback or evaluations to the person you're listening to. And this could be useful for you as well. If you're watching someone speak and you're asking yourself, what are the criteria that I must look at in order to assess that person and learn from what that person did for yourself? Those are some keys you might want to look at. And to recap, every time you have to evaluate any speech or presentation, break it down into three parts. First, you have the content. Second, you have the delivery. And then third, you have the overall effectiveness. The content, like we said, is about the essence of the speech, the meat and potatoes of the speech. And then the delivery is about the dressing, how you frame it, how you bring it all together. And there are different tools, different ways of going about that. And the overall effectiveness is about the purpose. Was the purpose achieved? When everything is said and done, does the audience walk away with something that was good because of the content that was good and the delivery that was good? That's what it is for in terms of evaluation for any speech or presentation. Thank you so much for making time to watch this. Subscribe or leave comments, do whatever you can, share, and that's gonna be awesome. Right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.